Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where this is a little bit different. So I'm going to be tinkering with the UI scale a little bit over the next little while, but let me know how well this UI scale works. We are now recording and uploading in 4K, so that is amazing. I did notice that some of these, mods, they don't seem to respect the UI scale very much, or maybe I just need to turn up the UI scale. But please let me know how it looks on your end so that I can adjust the UI scale if necessary. Now, last episode, we ended our Eve mission. And so now it's time to do something else. So, I mean, extracting 400 units of ore from Minmus is something that should have already happened. We'll take a look at that in a moment. But we do need to build an orbital station on a solar orbit. This is supposed to be a quote-unquote mining station, although it's actually an energy generation station. And having 4,000 units of liquid fuel should be okay. So we'll just go ahead and do this. We'll leave this facility, and first things first, let's hop over to Minmus to see if that wasn't mining. So let's see here. We want not the mini builder, but rather we want the fuel hauler landed at Minmus. Let's see what we've got going on here. Yeah, you can see here Flight Engineer is quite small. It doesn't seem to respect the UI scale. I think there was an option for that somewhere, though. Same with the X-Science here. That's very, very small. I think there was an option for that somewhere, but I can't remember where. But a lot of this doesn't seem to respect the UI scale, which is certainly unfortunate. Regardless, we are mining here. Right? Or full? Oh, we're just not producing here, aren't we? Liquid fuel full. Oh, okay. So we're just completely full right now. Well, that explains a lot, for sure. Man, this is so small. Oh, this needs to be modified as well. I will look into all of that after this episode. It's mostly mod stuff that appears to be having issues with the UI scaling, and that should, in theory, be okay. I might crank up the UI scale a little bit more. Unfortunately, you can't do that from this menu as far as I know. Oh, you can! Restarting KSP is required to apply all of the effects. Oh, the app scale. This might be what I was looking for then. So let's try bumping this app scale up to, yes, 150. That's more like what I expected it to do. Fantastic, but did it go back there? It may have gone back. Okay, well, regardless, there's some options there to mess with, for sure. And this is probably something that I shouldn't be doing. Well, you have to restart to apply all of them. For now, I'm just going to bump it up to 200%. This is the size that it was at on 1080p, except for over here, where it's kind of hilariously larger. Oh man, I really should be doing this in between episodes. I'm going to try bumping this back to 100%. Yeah, that's more like it. Now, the mods are not applied, but that's okay. So we're going to head back to the Space Center here. I do think that this UI scale is maybe a little bit on the large side, but I'm going to tweak that in between episodes. I need to just move on for now. That's enough talk about that. Ah, this bug. It's been a while. But we're going to just hop into the VAB, and we're going to create ourselves a core for our orbital station around the sun. So, first off, we're going to be using a cupola module. Fantastic, that tooltip is very small, but that's okay. And we're going to hop over here, and we're definitely going to... Wait, how many do we need for Kerbals? A facility supporting at least 5 Kerbals. Now, there's only room for 1 in the cupola module, correct? Correct. So we need at least 4 more to satisfy our contract. And we are going to hop down into here, and we're going to put a hitchhiker storage container in. That will get us our 4 that we needed. Excellent. And then we're just going to put in just a big ol', not this tank, just a big ol' fuel tank, and that will, of course, be a Jumbo 64. That's going to be our station core pretty much, and we're going to need an engine for that. And we're just going to go with a nice, efficient, vacuum-optimized engine, like, for example, not the Corgi. Like, for example, which one is it? The poodle. There we go. Now that does have an alternator on it, if I recall correctly. Let's see here. Do you have an alternator? Actually, I don't think it does. Regardless. Oh, no, it does. Right up top. I'm blind, apparently. Regardless, we are going to need quite a number of solar panels on this because the whole theme of this... Ooh, is this a ReStock thing? I don't recall seeing these photovoltaic panels before. What do they look like? Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that's definitely a ReStock thing. We're going to use Gigantors here. And we're just going to have 2 of them here. And 2 of them here. Then, for expansion, we're going to have a docking port, and for this, we're just going to use regular-sized docking ports. So we're going to do Clampotron docking ports. We're going to do them here, and here. Do we have a reaction wheel on this thing? We do in the cupola module, but I'm going to put another one on, just because I want to be absolutely sure that we can rotate this in a reasonable speed. And it'll need to be a large reaction wheel, like so. There should be plenty of power. Wonderful. What else are we going to need here? Well, this would make a decent core, wouldn't it? So this will, of course, be the... Caps lock is on. This will, of course, be the solar station core. Fantastic. And we're going to need a way to get this to where we're going, right? So we're going to need to lift this. First thing I'm going to do is I'm probably going to say that this is our maneuvering stage. Are we going to have a separate orbital stage? If we do, we're going to have to heavy lift this. So we need like a TD-25. Yeah, that's still bugged. I need to check to see if there's updates for that too. That's definitely something I should do. And then a Jumbo 64 here. I don't think we need a maneuvering stage looking at this. I think we just do 2 Jumbo 64s like this, lift it with a mainsail. What's that thrust to weight looking like? 1.17, so it's a little on the low side, but let's go ahead and put in some aerodynamics here. Just some regular tail fins, I think, will be just fine. We'll quad couple those, although I want to look at the center of mass and the aerodynamic overlay. Yeah... Those are probably going to have to come down when we put our SRBs on, right? So let's put our SRBs on and see what that ends up looking like. We're going to bicouple those, and we're going to put them over here. And they will, of course, be good old Clydesdales, I think, or Polluxes? Which ones are bigger? Polluxes are 5800. Clydesdales are the bigger ones. Yeah, these guys. These guys are hilariously large. Perhaps too large. Maybe we actually do want to downgrade those to the Polluxes. I think we do. We do something like this. That gives us 1.6 thrust to weight. Oh. Oh. This is some interesting mirroring. The Pollux was placed inside the rocket. Can we fix that? Apparently not. Okay, I'm going to restart this. This feels a little buggy. So we're going to put on our radial decouplers, bicouple those, place them here, and then we're going to put in our Polluxes. The same thing happened. What happens if we grab this? No, not that. What happens if we grab this decoupler here? And we try to place this in like this. Okay, that's working fine. So there's one in the center. What is happening here? Whoa, hang on a moment. I'm going to undo that. We're going to grab this out of here. Bicouple it. Look at that. It's putting these in inside the center core with this bicoupled. I'm really confused at what KSP is doing right now. We're going to remove symmetry. And we're just going to place this here. And we're going to place this here. We'll snap those into position. Just to make sure they are symmetrical. Okay. There we go. And this has the correct number of decouplers. Sure. So all of these get moved together, and now this works fine. Okay. So this is 4108 meters per second. That will increase, of course, as we go up here. We want to be on Kerbin, and we can see here that our stage 0 has up to another 4,000 delta V, which should be enough to put us into a solar orbit. Do we need any particular inclination? No. Just in orbit of the sun. Okay, that sounds good to me. So we're going to do that, and I should probably get some aerodynamic nose cones on... That's way too big. I should probably get some aerodynamic... That's even bigger. I should probably get some aerodynamic nose cones on here. I feel like that's overkill as well. We want these guys, don't we? Yes, we do. Of course, we'll have to do it manually, like so. We'll need to strut this in. We have power generation on this. I would hope so, because that's the entire point of this vessel. And then we're going to grab the strut connector, connect it in down here as well. Just make sure that that's nice and solid. And of course, we're going to have to do it on the other side because we didn't use symmetry due to whatever that weird bug was. Now, we don't have anything like a mobile processing lab here. That's something we can send up in a future mission. But this should get us a decent station core. Now, one thing I want to do differently than we've done in other builds is I want to include a bunch of these strut connectors. We're going to need, for things that are going to be permanently here, we're going to strut those down once they are attached. So we're going to bring, I don't know, maybe somewhere along the lines of... Can always bring up more with future flights if we need them. But I think for now, we're going to bring up somewhere along the lines of 6 stacks of them. So that would be 6 times 4, so 24 of them. Should be sufficient in theory. At least for a while. Okay, so we'll bring those up. And that does mean we're going to need an engineer on there. And we will bring Johan for that. Fantastic. Jeb is going to be the pilot. Everyone else here can kind of stay. Jamie can maybe ride up in a science mission. That should be fine. Otherwise, what else would we possibly need here? We need to check the aerodynamics. That's what we need. Yeah, we definitely need to change these. Let's do it something like that. As we burn this fuel, the center of mass will go up this way, which is not necessarily amazing. So maybe we should actually move these up a little further. Place them, like, right here. That's going to make us really, really stable at first. But as the center of mass moves up the rocket, that should be, in theory, okay. So let's check our staging. SRBs look good. The mainsail looks good, and then we detach the SRBs, and then we detach the center core, and we can fire this simultaneously. This is, of course, not planned to return. So we'll go ahead and save this as our solar station core, and let's do a launch. Should be absolutely fantastic. If, that is, it gets around to loading. We'll see. Hopefully it does. Okay, so here we are. We are going to throttle up to full, and we are going to... Actually, we're going to throttle down from full a little bit here. And that'll be fine. So, let's go ahead and lift off. Fantastic. I'm going to throttle down a little further, try to maintain that 1.6 thrust to weight, at least until our SRBs are off. We're dropping quick here in terms of our throttle. And we're going to need to start heading over this way as well. I think I'm just going to hold here at like half throttle until the SRBs are done. We don't need to worry too much about max Q on Kerbin. I mean, it's a thing that we should worry about. But I'm not too concerned about it. Maybe just try to keep the thrust to weight under 2 for right now. And then we'll throttle to full before we detach our SRBs, which will be here in about 25 seconds. Okay. So that's interesting, the direction of that aerodynamic effect, but whatever. We're just going to hold it around here. I feel like we need to increase our apoapsis a little bit, so that'll be fine. I'm going to go ahead and throttle up to full now, because we're going to detach the SRBs here in about 4 seconds. There we go. Excellent. And we'll just hold here. Our periapsis, or rather our apoapsis, is actually only 16 kilometers right now, which is not great, if I'm honest. We should probably think about increasing that. And so that's exactly what we're doing. Do we not have a time to apoapsis on this? Interesting. Oh, it's over here, of course, because the UI is slightly messed up. This is our current altitude. Our apoapsis is 40 kilometers. You know what? It's going to be easier for right now if we do this. There we go. 47, 49, 50. I'm going to head over to the prograde marker at this time. There we go. We're definitely accelerating quite a lot. And in fact, well, we do need to continue to burn here. That's the thing. We'll aim for around 74 kilometers. And that'll be done here in a moment. 2, 3, and 74. Okay. Whoa, that's a lot smaller than I'm used to. Okay, that... we'll have to see if there's a maybe mod to scale some of this. I'll look into that in between episodes. Okay, so we're going to do something along the lines of this. Wonderful. So we'll head over to that maneuver node. And we actually need to be burning this right now, it looks like. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to burn here at the horizon until we have burned out our center core. That burn time is reducing by quite a lot, or it was. Okay. Exciting stuff. Now we're going to coast to space. Yeah, I know our apoapsis went up doing that, but that's okay. So we will separate here. And let's just coast our way on up. We'll head over to that maneuver node. And this should be fine. We'll know our actual burn time now. So at T minus 34.5 seconds. We'll go ahead and warp towards 34.5 seconds. In fact, I slightly passed it there, but that's okay. And we're just going to get ourselves a little bit of additional speed here. This should be more than enough delta V to do what we need to do. And so that'll be just fine. 300 meters per second to go in this burn. This is definitely a little bit of a slow burn, but we're not shocked by this, all things considered. This is fairly expected. Under 200 meters per second to go in this burn. And we should probably extend our solar panels before I forget. There we go. This will be a lot of power. 90 more meters per second to burn here. Make that 70. Make that 50. And we are officially in orbit now. Well, we're in orbital mode anyway. I'm not liking how much our apoapsis is increasing by right now. I mean, it's okay, I guess, but I want our periapsis to increase a fair amount, so I'm going to go ahead and warp towards the apoapsis here, which is like up here. And off we go. Fantastic. So we're going to flip around to prograde. And we're going to get ourselves into a proper orbit here. Just circularize this a bit. Excellent. I'm continuing to burn this up. Okay, that'll do. Wonderful. Okay, so next up we want a slingshot around the moon. For sure. So we're going to set not the ComSat as our target, but rather the moon. Do we need to change our inclination? Probably not, is my guess. But this screen here definitely needs a little bit of work. There's no doubt about that. This is pretty small. So that's something that we can look at. Okay, how's this looking? We're going to need to modify this maneuver for sure. No, I don't want to edit the alarm. Cancel that. Go away. What I want to do is I want to edit this maneuver. Can I do that? There we go. Okay, so next, we are going to want to change when we burn this, I think. Yes. This is what we want right here. This gets us an escape trajectory for only 840 meters per second. Thanks for the gravity assist, Moon. Do we care about the final inclination? Maybe a little bit. I mean, we can work on that. Try to set our inclination to be the same as Kerbin's or something. But let's go ahead and align for this maneuver. This is going to be a burn time of 30 seconds plus an additional 26.5. So 56.5 seconds is when we want to warp to. We're going to go ahead and warp forward here and then warp forward a little bit further. Okay. So we're going to want to... thanks for the alarm that I didn't want. We are going to want to close our alarms over here. There we go. And we're going to want to warp towards that marker, which is like 30 seconds plus 26.5. Yeah, 56.5 seconds was what it was. Gotcha. Okay, so we're going to burn this here in a moment. And this will get us our escape velocity. Now. Excellent. So we'll let that burn on away. And off we go. This is going to be a bit of a lengthy burn. I'm going to go ahead and physics warp it. Just because I don't think there's a reason not to. And 50 seconds left in the burn. 30 seconds. 20. 10. Okay. Coming out of the physics warp. And we're going to keep an eye on our trajectory here. Okay. We're just going to burn this very slightly from here. And getting a minimal escape burn. There we go. That'll do the trick. So, with that gets us our escape trajectory. Fantastic. And then once we're out here, we can, I don't know, like set Kerbin as the target. Not the France ComSat, but rather Kerbin as the target. Maybe we can do that easier from out here. Maybe. Maybe we can do that easier from out this... Oh, hello. That is target. No target. That is target. No target. Okay, well, I guess we have to wait until we're in orbit of something else to set it as our target. Fair enough. So we're going to head on over to the moon here. Hello, moon. Fancy meeting you here. Excellent. So we are now in lunar orbit. Well, not orbit, but we're on a lunar flyby. And so now I want to set Kerbin as our target. No target. Okay, so maybe we have to escape here as well. So we'll come up here. That's 1 year, but it's going to be out here. Can't auto-warp so far. We're going to need to auto-warp, like, over here. Goodbye, moon. Thanks for the gravity assist. Yeah, these will definitely need to be moved. That's fairly obnoxious. No doubt about that. We're not connected right now, but we have crew control, so we don't need to be connected. We don't have a good antenna on this thing, do we? No, we don't, and that's something that we'll need to do for the others, since they are going to be unmanned, most likely, unless we send up a scientist, which we very well might. But let's go ahead and warp to around here, 7 days in the future. This should actually complete our contract, except for not having the ore, or rather, not having the fuel. So, yeah. We need to be in orbit of the sun, which we now are, but we don't have the 4,000 units of liquid fuel in this. So we are going to need quite a large amount of additional fuel here. That's okay, and I do want to see about setting Kerbin as our target now. What's our ascending and descending node look like? Actually, this is only 0.2 degrees. I think this is acceptable. Now, we're very, very likely right now to end up with a Kerbin encounter fairly regularly, right? So I think what we're going to need to do is instead alter our orbit here just a little bit. I'm going to pull our periapsis back to be somewhere around the descending node, I think. And then we will come up over here. That's going to be a bit of a warp, to be sure. And then we're going to pull this back so that we just don't have encounters. That's the idea here. Now, this is going to be on this side of the Kerbin-Duna orbit, but we can use this to refuel, at least for now, for a future Duna mission. The question is, do we want to? And the answer probably is no. We may want to end up moving this much closer to the sun, since this is supposed to be in orbit over there and essentially working as an energy collector. So that's something we may want to think about doing. But for now, I think we'll assemble the station up here, where it's at. And we'll just pull back our apoapsis here, so that we don't have an encounter. Fantastic. And we'll assemble the station here and then decide if we want to move it somewhere else later on. It is, however, time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and next episode, I will have fixed a lot of these UI issues. I was not anticipating some of these, and I should have been. I apologize for that. However, I will have at least most of them fixed, and we will work on continuing to construct our collector station. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and I will see you all next time.